Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into this episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. This is going to be one you don't want to miss. We are going to take things to a whole nother level right now and kind of do a little fantasy fishing, NWT Redwing predictions with our unofficial but official stat keeper, Mr. John Balla, and a little bit of get some local knowledge on the system from Drake Hurd and myself. We're going to break down what we're looking at Redwing and who we think will be our top 5 picks to finish in the top 5. Or just if you're building a fantasy fishing team, here's how it's going to go. So we're just going to pick our top 5 as our predictions and give you a little insight on the tournament upcoming. And maybe Drake give us some opener tips on the Minnesota opener. And a little bit, just some general information from John. He is a jack of all, knows everything going on in this industry, and knows a lot about the history of these tournaments and several circuits and kind of where things have been and who's kind of ranking where and what techniques and methods have won and best produced over the years. So we're going to get some really good insight from John. We'll have him on hopefully again down the road after this season. We'll break that down as well. So it's going to be a good one. So stay tuned for this episode of Real Talk Fishing as we dive in to a little fantasy fishing predictions for the National Walleye Tour on Redwing coming up in a few days. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into this episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. We are going to some uncharted waters today. We're going to do something a little different. We got the NWT Redwing tournament coming up here in just a few days. So we're going to do a little breakdown. I got a couple special guests. We got Mr. Drake Hurd over here, which you all know and have seen plenty times before. And we have our unofficial yet official stat keeper for the NWT and all tournament fishing, Mr. John Balla. So let's just start this off with John. Let's kind of let everybody know a little bit about who John is. John's been around for a long time. People don't know he's an industry guru. He's been fishing forever. He's been in the tournament circuit world forever. And now he's just kind of taking the backseat to oversight and kind of gives us a lot of breakdown on who's sucking and who's not sucking, right? and who's odds favorite. He's got some pretty cool stats that you've probably seen out there on social media floating around after the tournaments. And it's, I say he's our official yet unofficial because he just does this out of his goodness of his heart for being a cool dude, and nobody gives this guy $1 for it. So we will need to give him a lot of credit for it. We all appreciate it. Everybody likes to see their name in lights, so everybody's looking forward to the Balla report after a tournament and see where they land. But let's tell our listeners just a little bit about you, John. Go ahead, Drake.
Hang on one thing, though. I always look forward to, is John going to tag me in this week's thing, or did I suck too much that I'm not going to get tagged in it? So it is something that I do look forward to.
Well, if you did something right, you got tagged, right? I mean, if you either broke a personal record or cashed the check or finished in the top, usually how it goes. I mean, I try to limit it to guys that have put in the time that have fished more than 25, 26 events instead of the guys that maybe fished a handful. But a little bit about my background. I basically grew up, born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago. Started fishing when I was 3. My dad took us up and loaded us up the family truckster, and we'd cruise up to Wisconsin, Minnesota, the UP of Michigan. I had 4 older brothers, and my dad loved to fish. So he ended up basically babysitting me while my 4 brothers didn't want to fish. My dad would take me out in a boat, and I'd wear one of those, remember those orange ones with that strap around the back?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
So that's pretty much it. He taught me how to run a boat and all that. And my brothers really weren't interested. But then, unbeknownst to me, a mile away, John Campbell lived, the famous walleye fisherman that we all know. And we were playing 16-inch softball in Chicago suburbs, no gloves. And he was the coach. And then that was right when he and Ted Takasaki were just getting started. And so I started traveling with those guys, kind of as their co-angler travel partner guy, kind of like you guys are probably doing now.
Yep.
On the PWT. And I did that for years. And I probably fished maybe 3 times as an amateur, but that's where I got to meet all the other pros, Al Lindner, Mark Dorn, Calcafin, all those guys. And then, I got the itch to start fishing a few tournaments on my own. Me and my buddy fished a few on the Illinois River, then started fishing the MWC team events, and then had some success there, and then jumped into doing my first PWT was 2000, I think, on Saginaw Bay by myself. That was crazy. And then, I started jumping in to more of I started fishing like the Walleye League, and I just didn't have time for work. And then after that, then I pretty much jumped in full time with like all my buddies like Dean Arnoldson, Tom Keenan, John Gilman. I teamed with those guys a couple of years, fished the FLW the last couple of years of that. And then the first year of the RCL. And then I kind of, between a divorce and a new company change, my time was limited. So I just didn't have the time to take 5 weeks off anymore. So, and in order to stay relevant, I've been trying to do these stats. So I guess that's it. Out of a passion for the sport, out of the passion for helping out, like promote the sport and get guys some recognition. That's kind of what I've been doing, just staying relevant. I travel now, I guess, to pre-fish with my buddies, Dean, Courts, Cody, Dustin. I kind of travel with those guys when I can to pre-fish with them. Just to get a feel for what's going on. It helps me with the stats after the tournament's over. And then really it's just out of a love, like you said, Brian, it's out of love and a passion for the sport. It really what it is. You know, you and I met this year at the Bassmaster Classic. I go to the Bassmaster Classic every year. I know, Drake, you've gone a couple of times
Yep.
in the last few years. It's just a passion for the sport. So, and I guess these stats are what, you know, the way that I stay relevant, I guess, you know, keep my name out there in some way. But well, it's fun. It's fun. I appreciate you having me on, actually, Brian. I really do. Really appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to have you, and we, like we said, we all look forward to it. And you do a hell of a job with it, and it, you know, I mean, we had that discussion where even new management reaches out and says, "Well, you're supposed to do this for us, aren't you?" And it's like, no, I'm not. I just do it. There is no contract, no payment, but that door is always open for anybody who would like to send John a check. I'm sure he'll be happy to do it and maybe make those graphics prettier or something. But
that was an interesting conversation. They assumed under the new regime that I had some sort of contract or relationship going. And I said, nah, I pretty much just take your PDF that you release to everyone and have formulated all these stats from it. And I think it's helped me actually personally become a better fisherman, just to see what guys are doing and to see what techniques are working and what kind of weights you need. And so it's helped me personally, you know, selfishly,
yeah,
I guess.
I know we all dig into that information and read it, and I want to come back to some of that and dig into it in a minute. Drake, big weekend out there in Minnesota, big Minnesota opener. How'd that go for you? What's working for everybody listening out there?
Yeah, honestly, it was beautiful. It's probably one of our nicer openers that we've had in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years even. I mean, it was beautiful, you know, overcast, a little wind and some sun, and it was a great opener. I think a ton of people got out. There's a ton of people on the lakes, you know, just enjoying the weather. So I think that was awesome. As far as the fishing goes, I mean, it was kind of crazy. I got to take my boys out and my family. My brother jumped in the boat. He fishes bass tournaments, and I get him one time a year, literally for about half a day Saturday, half a day Sunday, and then that's like his walleye quota for the year. So it's good to fish with him and just how he processes things for bass fishing versus me for walleyes, you know. So it was good. We put a hurt on him. I kind of felt a little bit bad for him at times, but it was good. So we caught a few big ones and a lot of good ones for the frying pan, and it was just good to be back in the boat in Minnesota and fishing.
You took the boys out, I assume?
Yeah, the boys went with. Porter netted pretty much all day Saturday. He literally just ran around the boat and kind of kept netting fish, and Hudson would reel a feel in, and then Porter was a little tired on Sunday from it all, and Hudson got to be the net man, so Hudson ran around the boat the whole time on Sunday. So it was good. I mean, it's one of those things like growing up, you didn't realize what you had, and now as you're older, you have your own kids. My dad's in there, my brother, my kids. Like, it's a great time. It's kind of more of just getting out and being together too, you know, and the fishing comes second, which is awesome. So as far as biting, I mean, anything, we just threw jigs. We started with some minnows, and then we went to plastics. Like, it didn't really seem to matter. It's at that magical temp. I mean, you guys know across the Midwest where the water temps are anywhere from 52 to 58, and those fish are just chewing anything and everything. So it's a great time.
Yeah, the river is even warming up real well over here, and that post spawn bite it's full. It's like kind of early June phase right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going. So it is. It's awesome, and it's good everywhere. And John's been traveling, so I don't know if you brought a Tupu St. Croix with you or one of the Triumphs or something, but you've probably been jumping on a few little rivers here and there while you're on the road.
Yeah, I travel for work, and in fact, I'm up in Green Bay looking at the Fox River right now. Last week I was up in Wausau, Wisconsin. I got a chance to kind of pitch a few jigs and a couple of jerk baits around and caught some smallmouth and whacked a few walleyes around. And I shot a message over to Keenan to come down and join me, but he couldn't make it. It was his anniversary, so he was a little upset. But I'm actually surprised he didn't leave her to come down and fish with me, to be honest with you.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah.
Let's be honest. And John sent us, just so everyone knows, a picture of him working or whatever in the evening, and there's a walleye there somehow, some way, and it's just like, yeah, I'm sure you're working. Sure.
It was after hours, Drake.
Yeah, I get you. I hear you.
You know, we'll find any place we can go, and everywhere we go looks fishy. So,
100%.
Just as guilty of that as anybody. And the wife's always like, "Oh, we're gonna go here," and I'm like, "I got fly rods. They're always in the car if we're going to Colorado." And like, there's fishing. I don't care what they are. We'll pull over. We'll catch something. So, I mean, 100%. You're like me. You got 10 different fishing licenses. So I know I just printed off my Minnesota and Wisconsin one this morning. So don't forget, Drake.
Yes, I texted Kevin and Eric, like, we have to have them printed off, both Minnesota and Wisconsin. So I'm working on it.
Yep, make sure we have those. So back to John and your stats. Let's just go through some of these stats. Not even necessarily Mississippi River yet. We'll talk about that, but just in general. I know you've got, you've sent those reports out. I don't have one in front of me, but you always have kind of the, who ranks high on a lake fishery, who ranks high on a river fishery. What's the trend showing, and what's trolling versus casting. Blah 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 blah.
Well, I mean, yeah. So I kind of break it down. I'm looking at my spreadsheet here in the background, but I kind of break it down. First, I get everyone's finish, and then I try to break it down into the number of checks, top tens, average finish, days in the lead, checks in a row, checks in a season. Drake had a season that was one for the record books, by the way, until Hoyer's last year, Drake.
I know.
I don't want to remind you.
You get the Angler of the Year. So that's how you get Angler of the Year. So
that's how you get Angler of the Year. And it is amazing. I've got some stats that shows if you cash a check in every event of the year, you're either going to be in first or second. There's a couple of times when guys cash the checks and finish second to the guy that cashed 4 checks. Back when there was 4 tournaments. Actually, no,
I guess he tied once for it, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Keenan. Keenan cashed 4 checks and he won AOI that year. Drake cashed 4 out of 5 and he won AOI that year. And if it wasn't for Lake Erie tripping him up,
I got that this year.
Yeah, and
I think I had like an 87th or something like that, or 83rd or something, and I thought I was in serious trouble after that.
82nd, I'll remind you.
Oh, there we go. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Hey, he moved it up. So,
but I tell you what, though, Drake, you open up the season with a 3rd, then a 9th at Sturgeon, then Lake Erie, then a 3rd at Mobridge, and a 6th in the championship. So. That was the first time anyone ever had 4 top 10s in a season until Hoyer tied it last year. So, so I keep track of that I keep track of that stuff. I've got average finishes for the guys, and I only have maybe 38 or 39 guys that have fished over 26 events each. I just don't. It's just too much, too time consuming for the guys that have fished 2 or 5 or 8 or 10 events. It's just too much. But
those numbers make more sense when you have a larger. I mean, if you take a guy who first year or Hunter Nitty, right, who just got a second and had a pretty decent season last year, but he's only been doing it 2 years. Now some of these guys have been doing it longer, but they just had 1 tournament here or 1 tournament there. So.
Well, and let's face it, the larger data set, the better your numbers and your averages get. Like, Austin Rogotsky, for instance, had a great career with 11 tournaments, but it's 11 tournaments and he finished really well and it's exceptional. but you got to spread that out up, over 25, 30, 40 events to really start getting some trends. And I think one of the most interesting is, believe it or not, the best average finish is still owned by Corey Sprangel, and that's 25th. Out of all 48 events, he averages 25th place. So that's barely inside of a check. If you think about that. It's barely inside of a check. Because of all
Go ahead.
Because of all the local snipers that jump in. It's really what happens. It kind of skews the results, because like this one, Erie, what do we have? I think 80 something guys that'll probably fish them all. And there was how many total at Erie? There was 141. Yeah. Yep. And this one's looking like we got about 120 non-championship tournaments. The average field size is 121 anglers. So we're right at the average. And there's probably going to be, after 2 events, there'll probably be 80 something guys that have fished both events. So
it's crazy that like you could probably almost guess the numbers for the next like events just based on past history. Like it's crazy that if you actually look at this stuff, like how much information you can gather. And I don't think people realize that.
No, it's true.
Green Bay will be 113.
Yeah.
That's the average, I think.
And what's going to happen, guys, like, as you get closer to, you're looking at yourself saying, do I have a chance to qualify for the top 40?
Yep.
And am I going to drive the Sakakawea to do it?
Yep.
So to be honest with you, I'm going to even say it here. I am really hesitant to put up stats that says, historically, this is what you need to going into the championship to even make it. Because I don't want to discourage anyone from signing up for it. It's just not good for the tour. It's not good. I just don't want to do it. But I kind of know behind the scenes who's going to win Angler of the Year out of about 4 or 5 guys based on where they're coming from. Drake came back from 16 points down, which was the second largest trailing AOI going into the last event when you won it that year. Somebody else came back from 17. Now, so you're right. So you start looking at these numbers, Drake, and it's amazing. I'll spend some time and all of a sudden something just jumps out at the page, like, top 10s in a row or a triple digit finish. Believe it or not, there's only 3.
I got one of those. Wanted to get it out of the way early this year.
Well, there's only 3 guys left out of like the 48 that I said have fished 26 or more that have not had a triple digit finish. That's it.
It happens to everyone. Like, I know exactly when I had mine was at Winnebago, and I'm like, I've never been in the triple digits, but it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. And it's Shakurit. It's Dylan Nussbaum, who's had 27 events, and Cavallez, who's fished 45. But Shakurit's fished 48 events, and his lowest finish was 94th.
He's a pretty consistent guy.
Yep.
Pretty consistent guy. Stats like Justin Schneider, what did he just have? 20 something in a row
limits, I think. 24,
what
26
did I have
limits.
Him at? I think I had him at 21 limits. He just past Gilman in that last day, which is crazy. I mean, 21 straight limits.
Yeah. And I remember the year you got AOI, I had limits every day. And it was me and Shakur. And Hummel was there until the last day. He didn't. He got 4 instead of 5 or something. Yeah, the only ones that had limits the whole season. And I was like, that was the goal that year. That happened. And theoretically, if you bring a limit every day, you're going to make the championship. Period.
Drake caught 44 out of the 45 that year. You caught 45 out of 45, Brian.
Yep.
Drake probably remember where he had 4, right?
Yep, Green Bay. And I lost that fish like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. I lost that 5th fish.
Yeah.
And we only had a 1-day tournament, like 100%. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked.
So yeah, it's fun stuff. It's like I said, it helps me become a better fisherman because limits kind of rule, especially of the average size of a tournament. I was talking to, actually, believe it or not, at St. Croix last year with Al Linder about this. He couldn't believe the stats that if you take the average size fish caught in a tournament and you multiply that by a limit, where you would finish over the course of the year. Now, the only thing you don't know is what the average fish size is until after the tournament. But I do have enough data to kind of get me within half a pound or a quarter of a pound historically on the average size fish caught, and if you caught 10 fish of those, where you would finish. And you spread it out over a year. On AOY, I don't think you would have finished outside the top 10 in the NWT, and you might have won it twice, believe it or not.
That's just great. Like, we all want to have like the giant bags and like just all the, and you don't necessarily always need that. Like, if you're just steady Eddie, like, you can probably do very well.
Yeah.
But
Now,
it's one of those
just
things.
a limit doesn't work, but you need a limit
No.
of that average size and above to really make it count, you know? And there's also
just a limit will get you in the top 40, but not above that.
Well,
and that's even getting harder now, even so.
It's getting harder now, honestly, Brian, only when we go to fisheries that everyone catches a limit. You know, like Lake Erie,
Right.
like 90-something% caught one. But you can't just go out and catch 15 inchers. And you know, you've got to be at that average weight per the tournament or above to guarantee yourself for sure a check. But throughout the course of a year, because where we go, you know, you've got a slot limit or 1/20 or whatever. That's where it starts making the difference. Like, and we can get into the conversation about Redwing if you wanted to now, or we can still talk about some of the stats. But, you know, this one's going to be a whole different ball game compared to prior years because of the number of fish and only 1/20.
So how is that going to throw you off on everything this year with the 4 fish, the 3 fish for Green Bay, the 5 for Skakawea is still 5. Now there's nothing to play with. So, and points, people are probably, like you said, and I've brought this up with ownership, that with Sakakawea being the last event of the year, when guys are on that bubble, that's a long way to drive from the east, you know, and is it worth driving? So you're going to get a smaller number, right? Because just like you said, you don't want to put that information out beforehand to help them make their decision, but they're going to make it, especially with gas and wherever things are at, and be like, they got to kind of weigh things out, which I think you should put that last tournament in the middle, kind of a Green Bay or something in the middle field to where it makes more logistical sense. So when guys are on the cusp, they're like, it's only 4 or 5 or 6 hours, not 18 hours, or vice versa out in Erie at the end of the season. And guys from Northrop, from North Dakota, has to drive 18 hours out there. If he's on the bowl, he might be like, I'm good, you know, ain't worth it type thing. But we also don't have any fish to play with this the rest of the season. There's no, once you box them, you're done. Time to go weigh in. I don't know. I think it's going to throw a whole little wrench in your system.
Yeah, I just have to change what limits look like from 5 to 4 or 4 to 3 or whatever. I can still figure out who's got them, but you know, I certainly think the number of limits will probably actually go down, believe it or not, because the choices you have to make.
100%.
Think about it.
Yep.
I mean, you guys have all thought about it. Like, what do I keep? What do I not keep? And if I don't allow myself enough time at the end of the day to go to the nursery and get at least one fish that I can, you know, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and it's going to cost some people.
And like I was getting to is some guys are going to fish conservatively as we move into the next couple, just to make championship or points and be like, I don't know, I got 3-4 pounders of Green Bay. It's good enough. Let me call it a day. I'm going in. I'm safe. Versus, nope, I got to get that 10 pounder and, you know, whatever else it is. So that one's going to be the real tricky place. So what do you keep? You know, the Redwing thing. I get it. 1/20 makes it a little easier, but
they all are. Like, I've talked to Kevin McCoy about this so much and how this is going to play. Like, you got to have ice in your veins for one, and two, like I don't know. There's so many factors that go into it. Like you say, John, like, I can only keep 1/20. Well, I can almost tell you, and we'll see how pre-fishing goes, that if a 23 or 24 comes in my boat, I can guarantee you I'm throwing it in. Like, there's no doubt about it. And then I'm going to search for 3 other ones. Like, it's going to be a huge change a little bit, you know, going into this stuff.
See, I haven't even pre-fished, and I'm not keeping that 23, 24 incher.
Oh,
but I'm at 112th, and I have to make up an ass load of room.
But is that going to screw you in the end, though?
Okay,
I started out screwed, so I have so there's that is moving forward is where are you at in points, what do you need is going to help make your decision too.
Brian, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I want to hear what he says. Brian, quiet.
Let's talk about that. I've got your finish at Lake Erie. What was it? It was
like 112th or something.
Wait, I got it right here.
Awesome. Yeah, fish 30 minutes on day 2.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, 112. Well, have you paid attention to the last 2 stats that I've done for this year and then the end of last year? Did you see what 40th place, the average finish you needed to finish 40th over the last 2 years was?
I don't remember it.
It was 59.
I was going to say 50 something. I was going to go with. Yeah.
So that's 59, and you're now 41. So you're 53 points above that. So you need to only make up 53 points out of the next 3 events to qualify inside of 59.
See?
So 53 out of 3 is what? Basically 18?
Yep.
Inside of 59. So you need to average 41st or better in the next 3 to be right at the bubble. So if you do
it's easier said than done. But,
true.
Yeah, but you're right. I still need one. We just need to win and I'm in. That's the goal. But worst case scenario, right? We got to get a top 10.
Well, even if you do top 20 in this next one, now you're at 100 and now you're at 132 total places. That's 66 points or 66 places. Yep. You need to average 59. So now you just got to make up. You got to be that much further inside of 41st your next one.
Yeah.
So it's not as daunting when you look at it that way.
See,
it's not.
This is where, I don't want Balla to tell all these people this because I want you to go for the home run, and then if you strike out, then you are,
which is how I used to fish it before the points mattered for the championship.
Yep, but
I fished every tournament like all or none. I didn't care for the angler year. It's only 4 tournaments. I get it. Everybody says it's a coveted thing. I'm like, it'll just land where it lands. I mean, I remember when King got it in the year before, he averaged 120th. And I did the same thing my first year too, where I got 120th and then finished like 20-something the next year.
Yep.
But I think it needs to be longer. But granted, not to take anything away from anybody, that it's not easy to do, period. Yep. I mean, you've done it. Yep. But now everybody has to fish different because the points mean different. It's not a pay to play for the championship. It's the way it ought to be. And I love it. And that's good to know because I'm still throwing that 23, 24 incher back. Unless I catch like none of practice, then I'm boxing it. But we'll see.
If you catch a 23 or 24,
he's going to teach you a lesson here. This is 100% because I get to listen to Kevin McCoy, who I think has watched John Balla for however long, and it's so interesting to listen to Kevin talk about stats too. And he'll use Balla stats all the time. But
Kevin's arguably got one of the best records ever. I mean, he's won 3 or 4 or 5. I don't even know how many.
Right.
I mean, he has. But he's also hiccuped a few times, but it hasn't bothered him. Drake finished 82nd, and he still won AOI after the next 2 events. 82nd. Yep. He probably, 82nd.
And Kevin kept me
cool. He finished
Kevin will keep
39 places, 39 places inside the top 40, right? Ahead of 40th place after an 82nd. So it's the 112th, Brian, is, but by no means are you done. Not even close.
I haven't done great on the Mississippi, but I've done well on rivers, and the Mississippi just because I didn't keep those. I threw the wrong fish back. So maybe it's a lesson to tell myself, but we're going to Secaucus, and I got a good track record at Secaucus. So I'm confident in the rest of the season. Green Bay, never so much, but the good thing is we only have to catch 3 fish.
What were you going to say about that 23-24 on the Mississippi? You're going to start to say something.
Here's what you got to remember on something like this, right? We talked about when we have no room to play. It's not like you get to keep 6 and weigh 5. You don't get, you can keep it 23, but when you get 1 over 23, right? So it's 8 in the morning.
That's like a 5-pounder on the river, I imagine, right?
It's 8 in the morning, and it's day 1. Right? Yep. 8 in the morning, you catch a 23 and it weighs 4.5 pounds. Do you really want to? I mean, you got to decide. Now, you're fishing for the whole season to make it in the championship. The snipers, they're not going to keep a 23 incher because they're probably sure they're going to need 2 27 inchers back to back, day 1, day 2, with a bunch of 2-pounders to try to win this thing. And we'll talk later about what we think these weights are going to be.
Yep.
But if it's 1 o'clock, are you going to throw a 23 incher away, a 4-pounder?
Not at 1 o'clock, no. 8 o'clock, nothing. I really don't know anything until we get to practice. But and I've never even fished it. Drake's got that step up on me. It could be like, no, that's pretty good.
You've got to think to yourself, if you come in with 2 23 inchers over 2 days and 2 limits, both days, where are you going to finish? You'll probably finish somewhere above halfway, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. I'm hoping.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
So that's
I'm hoping. Yeah.
right. So halfway with 120 is 60th place. You need to average 59. So if you're above average, you're going to kind of be where you need to be for the season. You might like Drake is saying. I mean, you catch a 24-incher. There's not many places around the country that you throw a 24 back. I saw a guy, and I don't even want to mention his name, in the 2017 championship on Green Bay, where Dean won it. He threw back a 25-incher the first fish in the morning, and I was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't. He ended up losing. Second place was a boat. He was only 5 1/4 pounds out of second place, and he came in with less than a limit. Wow. So I 20 in the walleye world, a 24-incher.
4 pounds it's good fish.
Yeah.
It's a good fish. Because I'll get into some of the data I've got from Pepin, where almost all time, the average size of a fish that's caught in a tournament with unlimited amount of no slots is like 2 pounds, 2.1 pounds. That's it. That's the average size.
No. See, now you got Brian. So Brian's head is just spinning right now.
It should. I mean, listen. Brian, I agree with that. In practice, if you're able to every single day. If you're able to go find a 26 and above, you're okay, fine.
Yep.
You're going to catch some 21s and 22s and 23s probably every day. Yep. You're going to catch 21s and 20. You will. Yep. But you start getting up in that 23, 24, man, and it's like, all right, I got a season. And I'm not telling you what to do, but it's just something to think, especially on day one.
Those are going to move the needle. These 26, 27, 28, 30s are obviously going to
catapult
take it to the top, but I mean, I'm a fairly conservative on the way we do things nowadays.
Yeah, these snipers are going to be the guys that are going to be rolling the dice. What do they care? Totally. They don't care about points. Yeah. They think they know where they can catch a 26 or 27 or 28. They don't care. And if you bring in the 27 or 28, you don't even care how big your unders are at that point.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. So to the listeners out there, that's what this is awesome, because this is stuff they don't think about that we think about. They're like, dude, you suck. You keep getting 40th or 50th or 60th. And you're like, yeah, but I made the championship, right? Which is a goal of most everybody. And it's like, I don't suck. I'm not, for me, just in general as an angler, is that no, you're consistent. Consistency pays more than
I wish I could show you this, but it's proprietary. I'm not going to show this screen, but if I showed you all the averages, Drake Hurd is in 17th place for the best average finish, and his average is 41st place. Yeah. Mark Kortz is 38th. Yeah. There's hardly anybody that averages inside of 35th place, which is is that a check now? It's one in five guy.
Yeah.
So it's at 125 boat field. Yeah, that's 20. That's
25.
25. Yep. Nobody. Corey Sprangle has the best average at 25.2. So not a single professional angler on this list that has fished more than 26 events averages inside of a check range. Not one.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me. Yep.
No, it used to be 1 in 4. Now it's 1 in 5. So that kind of hurts.
Now it's 1 in 5. And I showed you before we started this. I guess I could show you this now before. Well, if you want to, when we start making our picks, I'll show you this. But no, so the whole point about what you were saying earlier about how this changes things, it's 4 fish, no room to play with. Every decision you make matters. There's probably going to be a lot of guys that don't come in with 4 fish. Yep. There's probably they're gonna catch their 3 unders and they're gonna hope for that over, and it might not come. So now all of a sudden, if you're a guy that comes in with your 3 unders and an over every day, you're separating yourself quite a bit.
See, this is where it's going to get interesting.
So let's jump into Redwing in 1 second. I just got one question from the stats you've been seeing. Where is it going? Casting versus trolling? I did this and someone made a comment. I looked back over what is viewable on the NWT and knowing what I know, I went, because they were like, everything's one trolling. I was like, nope. 8 of the last 11 were cast, whatever it was.
No, it's definitely going casting. I keep track of techniques. Let me see. Maybe I should share this screen here. Let's do this.
But it would also be interesting, and I don't know if you have this, but like even just cashing checks, which you probably don't, versus cashing a check trolling versus cashing a check casting. You probably don't have.
I don't because you know why, Drake? I don't have interviews with everybody.
Right. 100%. Right.
Can you guys see this?
They don't tell. Nobody tells you anything, right? So
yeah, we're also secretive. Also secretive.
Yeah.
So if you see this is basically what I've kept track of from what I can glean from interviews with guys afterwards, and then Brett Carlson's write up on the National Walleye Tour page.
Yep.
So this has been 48 events, but there are more than 48 results here because some guys have done multiple techniques.
Okay.
But I can tell you this, the trolling crankbaits has definitely slowed down in terms of how it's been won. It's jigs is casting crankbaits is casting, glide baits is casting, live bait rigging. It's arguable. That's slip bobbers and then hand lining. So
old hand lining's hanging in there.
Yeah. Can't believe it. Yeah.
It could make a comeback this week.
I was going to say, this week would be one of the ones where those hand liners will actually do something too, though. That's the thing.
If the water stays dirty, yeah. So if you can look at, 22, 32, basically 32 out of the 48 have been, and most of these have been the result of the last 4 or 5 years since forward-facing sonar, right? So, yes, it's definitely going casting. Side comment, I find it interesting. There certainly isn't as much pushback on the walleye side for forward-facing sonar as there is with bass.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's great. Yeah. It's great because personally, they're a lot harder to catch. I think I've mentioned this before in some of my other stats, but the limit percentage of guys, the average is 34%. Let's see. Yeah. 34%. No, let's see. That's so percent with limits all time. 39% of anglers have caught a limit every day. That's it in walleye fishing. I bet you bass is like 95%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like coin. It takes so much pressure off, not knowing, you just throw them in the box. I mean, I guarantee ours would jump up to 60, 70%. And it's a lot of times, this is what we've been talking about. You don't bring a limit because you didn't keep the right. I mean, I did it last time I prayed to Shane. Randy got 10th, brought in 10 pounds a day. I had 10 pounds a day doing the exact same thing. I just didn't keep them.
Yeah.
I'm like, we got all 19s at practice, throw them back. Now they're all overs, over 20s, and you couldn't keep them. Or they were like 16, 17s, which eventually I was like, I better start keeping those. Well, 3 a day ain't going to cut it. So, Randy was, for whatever reason, said, I'm just going to keep those a day. I don't know. We'll see. Yep. 10 pounds a day was good enough.
It's the average, above average.
It was the average. Yep. Yeah. He's like, I've always told you, he's a lot level-headed.
Yeah. See?
More chill than me. So
Drake, I got a question. So what kind of conversations do you guys have, you and your team have, and the guys that you travel with before events like this? Now that it went from, maybe 6 down to 4 with only 1 over 20.
To be honest with you, I mean, we're going to weigh all of our fish. I mean, it's funny. Springle made a comment one time at Green Bay that the 25 to 27 inchers were actually weighing heavier than like the 28s and 29s. So like that happens at certain ones. And obviously wherever they're putting the feed bag on, whether it be down in 4 or up in 3, like it's going to be interesting. But again, that's where I rely on Kevin a lot, to be honest with you. He's been there, done that type of thing, and his calm and demeanor to like figure a lot of this stuff out has helped me tenfold, So I think that's a big part of it. And then after the first day, and I don't know where he got this stat or if he got it from you, but after the first day, we always take that check. Whoever's in the last place of the check, let's say it's 25th place because we got 125 boats. On the pro side, we just double it and subtract 1 pound, and that's what you got to get to a check, is what we've always said. And like, it's crazy how accurate it is. We've kind of just always said that that's what you got to get to. And so just to think about those stats, like we all want to go out there and catch, a 28 incher and 3 19 and a halves. Well, that's not realistic. all the time, and you just gotta think like we need the average weights or slightly better, like you've brought up multiple times. So it's crazy. Like obviously we all want to whack them and stack them, but it just doesn't always happen.
That's the Randy's got a formula like that we use. Same deal. Where's that cutoff line? He uses like 15% of that is where you need to be. And we all know if you come in with a bigger bag on day 2 than 1, you almost always move up. I've done it once where I didn't move at all. But like you said, weighing and fish. So I remember when I take this with me, it's my little logbook, time, waypoint, fish, weight, length, lure, speed, feedback, depth.
Yeah.
Sunny, cloudy, whatever. Because like you said, like Skakuya, that came in handy once. Our first time there, I'm like, these fish I'm catching over here are all 2.9 pounds and are 19 and a half inches long. These fish up here are 2.2, 2.3 that are 19 and a half inches long. So right, we go by weight. This isn't a conversion tournament. So that makes a big difference. And like you said, I mean, how many 25s did you catch at Erie that were 6 pounds and 27s that were 5? Or what have you. So,
and that's where, like, I think it's just going to get magnified now that, I mean, as much as it seems like, oh, people, you only got to catch 4 fish. Well, that's going to make it more difficult. I think you brought that up. Like, you think less guys are going to bring in limits, and I'm almost like, yeah, I agree with you.
I do. So Redwing. We're diving in. Let's go to Redwing. It looks like the pool water levels went up. I saw like 11 feet over the weekend, but now we're dropping back down to 9.4, 9.3. So we weren't low like we thought we were going to be, like 6 foot, which I guess elevation wise that's low. Flood is like 14. So we're probably at a good stage right now, but it's dropping. What do you think? What's going? We got more coming. I know they're still holding some back right from down south, but I think they moved some of the rain out of the forecast.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to, like, in our forecast up here, which it's so different. Sorry, this is kind of a side subject, but we used to always know, and Brett King told me this, like, if it rained up in like the Brainerd, Alexandria, like our area up there, they knew when the water would go up in Redwing. Well, now it's changed so much because of tiling from farmers and stuff. It goes up and goes down so fast. So it's kind of interesting, but I think we're at a good stage where, guys will be able to fish backwater, the main channel, the lake, like it's all going to come into play. And I think that'll be good to kind of spread us out.
Yeah. And then getting around should be a little less hazardous.
Rocks and trees.
Right. And the Treasure Island I hear we're going out of is not the greatest boat ramp to be going out of. So I know Kinger was concerned about it with the high water. Like, just nobody uses it because it sucks, I guess. But I guess we're going to use it. So
we'll find out. But I'm more interested to see what this. Sorry, he's on that side of my screen. What are you thinking?
Break it down, John.
Oh, for Redwing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to hear.
Well, I mean, are we talking like weights or
sure, shoot everything at us. I'll just be like
weights,
a sponge.
Techniques.
Right. Well, so like you said, you talked to King or Brett's got tremendous experience there, right? And he even said, I think the biggest under you're going to find is maybe 2.5 pounds, maybe, right? And so 3 perfect unders at 7.5 pounds. And even on one giant over, which is, are you going to catch 2 of those in 2 days? Let's say they're 28 inches that are 8 pounds. You're talking 15. I mean, is 30 pounds going to win this? To me, it seems like 28 to 30 is probably the ballpark I'd have to pick, which is 14 a day, which is like maybe an 8 and 3 twos. And some guy happens to know where to catch a 7 and an 8 or a 7 and a 9. Somebody's going to get in them. Somebody's going to get in the right order.
Yeah.
But like I said, just having the average at 2 pounds, that's probably where you're probably going to get your best. I mean, 6 pounds for your 3 unders is probably going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah.
2 1/4, maybe 6.5, 6 3/4. So now you add that 3.5 or 4 pounder, that's a 24 inch. Now you're talking 10, 11 pounds. 20 pounds is pretty darn good. If I look at like Prairie du Chien, which
20
was
pounds, 10th place.
20 pounds was 10th place because,
Randy
and
Hummel,
that was
20
one
point.
over, and that was one over, right?
Yeah, and Randy had no overs, 10
And
pounds a day.
27 pounds won it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I just looked at that. Randy had 20.43 pounds in 2 days with 16, 17 inches.
Right. So
maybe 119 incher.
It's probably going to be different because of the slot limit. There was only one over 27.
Yeah.
And there were only how many? Maybe there was four, I think,
something
27
like
inches brought in.
4 or 5, something like that. Yeah.
But there was plenty of people catching 23s, 24s, 25s, 26s. So you got to add those into it now. So that 20 pounds is going to drop quite a bit. It will put you above 50th or 50%. Probably. But now you're going to need, now you're probably going to need 11 or 12 pounds because now you're talking 3 2-pounders and then a 6. So that's like a 25 or 26 incher. There'll be a few more guys that are catching 2 of those in 2 days. And then there'll be guys that only catch and keep 1 over in 2 days.
Yep.
Is anybody going to catch a check catching just unders?
I want to know that. Like, do you think that's possible? Let's say I get 4 19-incher, whatever, perfect under slots. Like, that's 8. Let's say 8 pounds, a little over 8. Like, is that going to be enough?
16 pounds?
No, I don't. Not with a 20 1 over 20 slot.
Yeah.
Because
1 over 27, you bet. But
1 over 27, you bet. Yeah, but now when you
that was also 5 fish at Prairie du Chien.
Yeah.
And that was 5 fish, right? So you got to lower that. Yeah, you got to. But percentage wise, if you take it off, it's the same. I think once you multiply it times 4 or 5. So there's 2 schools of thought. Am I fishing to win this thing? We talked about it. The snipers are going to fish that way. Some of your touring guys are going to fish that way.
Yep.
But I would say the majority are going to be in that camp of I can't fall out of the points race. I can't do this. I can't fall out of the point. I can't get too far behind. I've got to make sure I at least stay in this ballpark at this one because of 4 fish. That's all I get. And there's no call. Those are the 2 schools of thought I'm thinking. And I think there's going to be a lot of local guys that might catch one giant the one day and nothing the second day, a bunch of small ones, because they just didn't, or they threw back a 23 or 24 early in the day after they caught a big one on day one, and they're going to throw a 23 back. They're going to look at the day one weights and be like, oh, this is what I'm going to need to double it. Because historically, in all the stats I've got, generally, this is not the rule, but you sometimes take like the 3rd or 4th day one weight and double it. That's kind of where the winners are. There's some exceptions when a guy blows it away. But if you double day one's like 3rd or 4th place, somewhere in there, it's generally within a little bit of range is where at least 2nd place is going to be. At least 2nd place will be there if you double 3rd or 4th place day one. This one probably won't be any different because of the slot. Because, that's a tall task. 2 26 inches, will that win it? I don't know. I just feel like there's some big fish in there, and somebody's going to catch 2 big ones. Somebody will. A couple guys will. Not it won't. I don't think there'll be 10 guys catching 2 28s. No. I don't think that at all.
No,
I just don't see it. I've never seen it at Redwing like that. Even when Shakur won it in Katrina's Cut with 80 something pounds, he only had 2 or 3 fish the one day. And he finished with 80 something in 4 days. So, he had a couple 8s in there, but a lot of them were 5s and 4s and 4s and 3.5. But
no slot, 5 fish limit, probably
no slot.
back then.
No slot.
Yep.
Even back then with no slot, I think 20th place was like 12, 13 pounds a day with no slot. That was 20th place.
Yeah.
So a lot of big fish live there, but you still got to catch them.
And that's where
you throw 120 boats on there.
There's a local Peter Mart who actually is jumping in on this one or whatever, but same type of thing. He always said, like, when there was back in the day, he goes, all I need to do is catch 13 or 14 pounds and I will cast a check. Just, that was when there was no slot and all that other stuff, He's like, that's all you need to get at Redwing if you think about it, So it'll definitely be 100% interesting.
So I've got a limited data supply. I shouldn't say that. I got about, 7 or 8 data points. Taking the average weight of all the fish caught when there was no slot, it was 2.11 pounds. And if you multiply that times 10 fish, you averaged a 12th place finish.
Yeah. See? Jesus.
Which is 20. What's that? That's 21 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not, again, that's average. That's all fish. Now you got a slot, 4 fish. Four fish. So now you can take 8 fish out. So that's 16, right?
Yeah.
That's 16 pounds. But now you got to add a certain percentage based on this over. And that's the big wild card, because you got to catch it at the right time. You got to have stones to throw one back to hope for a bigger one, depending on when you catch. And so there's going to be a lot of that. A lot of guys that aren't going to toss them back because, like you, bro, you might in practice you might be catching. Maybe you caught 127-incher in practice, and all of a sudden you catch a 25 on day one. I mean,
I'd keep it.
Right.
23, 24. That brings question 25.
We're gonna have this interview. We're gonna have this interview after the tournament, and I guarantee he's gonna keep a 23, 24-incher.
Well, Drake, I want you. Drake, I may at the rules meeting. Drake, ask him what his biggest fish he caught all week.
Yeah,
I'll tell Drake.
After the tournament, ask him what he kept.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
We'll come back to this. We'll revisit this.
Yep.
So
it's been in the butt plenty of times, but I tell Drake whatever he asks. I tell him whatever. I don't hold it back. I trust him.
When Courts won it, there was no slot, and that was 40 pounds. So I mean, so with with one fish over, I mean 28, 30. It just seems to make sense, right?
Yeah.
25th place back then was 21 pounds with 10 fish.
Yeah.
2 pound average.
Yeah.
With no slot. See,
that's what I'm saying. My 4 under 20 is gonna sneak in there somehow with 16 pounds, some miracle. But I agree, though, like there's those 20 to 23, 24 inchers. Like that's kind of going to be the wild card,
The guy gets that and just has 15s and 16s to go with it, though, then you're the same way.
Yep, that is true. I mean, we are talking perfect slots of 2-pounders. You're not always going to get those either. Those aren't easy.
That might be just as hard to find as a 28, right?
Yep.
So,
No, I mean, I've heard some rumors, though, talking to some of the locals, that there's pretty good population of like 18 to 22 inches right now.
Yep.
Pretty good population. The other thing you've heard about, and Brett's talked about it, and I think Chemo's talked about it, was those saugers, right?
100% that's going to come into play.
The big saugers. But that's also historically, I mean, without giving away too much, but historically that's always been out in the lake this time of year, right?
Yep.
Which is Lake City Point is 24 miles from the Redwing Dam.
Plus a lock.
Yep. Yeah.
So the lock's close to Treasure Island, right? Yep. Like if you're going down, you block
couple miles.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. I mean, Pool 3, 120 anglers. I'm guessing most want to fish in Pool 4.
Yeah.
Based on history, based on reputation, based on what they know.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of guys spend a terrible amount of their free time up in 3. But historically, that lower end of 3, Buffalo Slough, the Shredder or the Razor, they call it. There's some spots there's some spots, and because now you're talking, am I going to sacrifice lock time to go down where I think there's these big giant fish just for one fish, or do I spend all of my time in 3 to get the one bite and get my unders there too?
Yeah.
Because if you have less guys in 3, you could probably get the same weight that you could down in 4, where you think more of the big fish, historical spots that you have, experience. But you never know. Those spots that you find in practice are probably going to be found by somebody else.
Yep.
Those micro spots where the big 100%. Fish live.
Yep.
So you're going to have a pretty good rotation on spots. There's a guy there. Nope, there's a guy on that rock pile. Oh, there's a guy on that wing dam. There's a guy on that laid out, whatever.
Yep.
You're probably going to need a bucket list of spots, in my opinion. You're
still going to want that strategy-wise. Obviously, you're going to need something in Pool 3 to finish out your bag. You got to, because you got a lock and you maybe come up and you got 2 hours.
Yeah.
because the way it worked.
Yeah.
And now I got,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's going to
So,
be interesting because like we've always usually, I mean, not always, but we've gone out of 4 so much more that I just wonder, 3 doesn't get as much pressure. But at the same point, like people get nervous about locks. Like they do. I've gotten stuck. I mean, everyone has at some point. And so it'll be interesting to see if 3 gets a lot more attention or if it gets so beat up. It's not a huge pool. I mean, there's lots of areas, yes, but like they're not huge areas to fish. They're 1-2 boat spots. And so it'll be interesting to see. And like I said, will guys lock down then and go, the river and the lake and stuff. And, it's going to be interesting to see, 110% what's going on.
There's 18 miles of river in pool 3, and there's 44 in pool 4.
Yeah.
So, and there's a no wake zone if you can't run the Wisconsin Channel. But it sounds like the water's up enough to where you can get through there. So,
see, I should have brought a notebook like Brian. He's writing all this stuff down. But I literally, I'm like, I'm just going to have to watch this video again and again and again to just remember all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm
always keeping notes for questions, but I am making notes too.
So I do want to make one point, though. You talked about the locks, Drake, and certainly back in the day, the only way we could communicate was by taking the number down and calling the lock master.
Yep.
And he had to answer, and other guys were calling too. Now with technology and the apps on your phone, you can see barge traffic. You can exactly.
Marine traffic app. Just downloaded it again today. I had to call Randy and say, what was that app again?
I know. Exactly.
So that is going to help you make your decisions. It's not going to help if there's a lot of barge traffic. It's only going to help on when you decide you're going to lock through.
Yeah.
So that is an advantage that's in play now because of modern technology. The other thing we haven't talked about is how much is forward-facing sonar going to change how guys are traditionally fishing Redwing. Tom Wynn, for example, a couple years ago, won an AIM event with forward-facing sonar, right? Fishing bass tactics on some rock, main channel rock, and he won it. Now, I've used it. It's a challenge in the river when you've got 50 different species.
Right.
So that's, I think, what's going to be interesting, where you're going to see a lot of guys parked on spots using their scope, using your mount and in the back of the boat, especially under spot lock in the back of the boat, using one of your mounts to better see what's going on. You're going to see a lot more than that. In my opinion, you're going to see a lot more of that. And you're probably going to see guys, if I was going to fish this derby, I'd find spots that I know I can troll up some 17, 18, and 19 inches if I can in a hurry, because I am going to have to leave one spot open probably for that over at some point. So whether that's in pool 3 or pool 4, I would be spending some time trolling or rigging some spots where I know I can maybe catch some unders, whether that's with willow cats or whatever it is, chubs. And then I think I'd be using that forward-facing sonar. Not to say that you can't catch those unders that you're forward-facing. Who knows? In practice, you might figure out you can catch them both doing it.
Right.
You can maybe go to spots that were traditionally like the razor, where you traditionally would, the shredder, where you traditionally lose a bunch of baits. Well, maybe you can go in there now with forward-facing and pick out micro spots, rock humps, rock points, indentations, whatever it is, and pitch towards them and catch an 18. And, a lot quicker than you could setting up 4 rods trolling.
100%. And even like wing dams, like we never used to be able to see behind the boat, like what was on the wing dam. We always had an idea. Well, now I can put it on a pole and I can scan that wing dam in a minute or two and tell you if there's fish on it or not. And you're going to have to take that chance. Well, there's no fish there now. Should I move or should we wait? Or, it can be so much faster. You can be so much more efficient.
But there could be fish there in 10 minutes.
Oh, 100%. It could load up. And,
that's the river
exactly.
for
you. And you just miss it by 2 minutes and you're screwed. You're SOL. The next guy pulls in there and just starts whacking them,
But that's okay. Short memory on that stuff with that technology is good, because you just go positively and confidently to the next spot and say, I'm not fishing them until I see them with this. That's how much I trust this technology. I'm not fishing them until I see them. Because it would be amazing to me, because I'm going to be out there practicing. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like on some of this rock and current and some of these holes. I mean, to go up to a wing dam and be able to see whether they're sitting up on top of the rock, the face, or down in the trough or the lip. I mean, That's just a game
Yeah,
changer to me.
100%. Yeah. Yep. I agree.
So I don't know. That's kind of my wrap up on it. I think you gotta get lucky on when you catch that bigger fish. If you want to win this derby, I think you're going to need probably 2 over 27s in 2 days and some really solid unders.
Yep.
Or you're going to, need 2 9-pounders and some halfway decent unders to win it. And then the rest of it, it's just going to be a wild card of how fortunate you are to catch that right size fish at the right time of the day. And then allowing yourself to chance to move up and down the locks if you're so choosing to move up in the pool and move down in the pool. We haven't talked about whether or not guys will be running all the way down to Wabasha or something like that. Or Alma.
And historically, like this time of year, like that Wabasha area fires up, but that is going to be a haul and a lock that you got to go through. Like that's a long run again. But
yeah, you're talking like Tepeota Point, Indian Slough, Beef Slough back along the Wisconsin side. Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like I'm sure it's in the back of a lot of people's minds, but it's how much fishing time do you want versus drive time and how confident,
Yeah. The other thing I just thought of is, if the water stays high, that's going to push an awful lot of fish out of the main channel and into the back sloughs, which now it shrinks it down a little bit, right? Now everyone's going to be in those back sloughs, back cuts, back holes, coming in and out of the main channel. That's going to kind of change some things there. If it stays up and muddy. And if it stays up and muddy, there'll be less limits caught. I mean, when Sprangle won it in 2013, the first year, that was high and muddy. He won it in the main channel, pitching rocks right there in downtown Redwing. He had 16.69 pounds on day 1 and 10 pounds on day 2. 26.8 pounds. 10th place was 18 pounds. There was one limit caught in 2 days. 10 fish was Corey. He was the only person to catch 10 fish.
Crazy.
It's a river. We're overthinking it because the rivers just keep it simple.
But it's crazy. Like I'm honestly think a lot of people watch this podcast and don't realize how much we think about this or how much strategy like actually goes into this prior to and just while you're on the water the whole time.
Well, Brian, I'll have to ask you. I know you said you've never been there before. What are your kind of thoughts going into this? Like, obviously it'll change when you get there, but what are you thinking before you get there?
You'll need a big fish, like from what I hear. Randy's got good experience there and has pretty good confidence that you're going to need just what you said, that 27, to 30 incher, one a day. Thinks there's plenty of them from everything I've researched and found out there appears to be, but I know how that goes come tournament time. So Erie's full of them too, but I didn't catch a lot of 30s at practice there. So, yeah, it's all dependent on practice. I'm not too concerned about catching those unders, but it's good to hear that there's a good year class of 18 to 22s because that's kind of what you're saying, Rick. I can make payday just by bringing in 19 and a halves, 4 of them if I have to. That's usually what separates. Obviously, 8, 9, 10 pounder separates everything. But if you're consistent and stay in the points, maybe money, just get those 4 solid fish. Now, if you're in the 15, 16s, that's not going to do you any good except keep you out of the triple digits. But it's what techniques is. It's willow cats. We have the whole thing about bait and state lines and this and that and chubs and cranking and 3-ways and flies and hand lines and pole line. And I mean, I already loaded the truck because I got a couple days of guiding, so I'll be getting done guiding Friday, coming home, swapping out guide gear for tournament gear and
gone,
and on the road. But yeah, rivers, you got to pack it all.
You got
probably end up using the same 4 rods, but
did you give Takasaki a call a little bit because he's got a history there? He won an FLW.
Oh yeah,
I was pretty fishing with him out there.
Yep. So Teddy will be there Friday before I am, but he's pretty pumped for Redwing. He was pumped for Erie too. He's confident in it because he's won there. I think he's pulling bouncers on points down in Pepin. So
the famous,
something
it's
like
the
that.
famous
something like that.
Point,
anyway,
like everyone knows, like it's one of those things. Like if like those fish stack up on the points, you can pull up on those points and do damage. But the thing is like, and I'm not saying the guys didn't. These guys don't miss anything. Like they're just Everyone
No.
is so good now with forward-facing sonar and technology and just everything that these guys don't miss anything. So if you
Nope.
can somehow get away by yourself and fish your own fish, like that's huge. But it just doesn't happen as much in today's world just because of everything that's going on.
Yeah, you're not going to have to pull bouncers to find fish, or you're going to roll up, look, and move on to the next point.
Yeah, and that's where like it could be interesting. I don't know. We'll see.
This format is not going to represent the true potential of Redwing because of only one over 20 inches.
Yep.
I mean, if there was no slot with forward-facing sonar, and if the water levels stay, halfway decent and clear, it would be. These weights would go up like we're seeing, like every tournament going up with these weights with forward-facing sonar. Bass is seeing it, walleye seeing it, but this just reduces it down to a little bit different of a story, unfortunately.
Which we'll see.
All right, we've already hit an hour here, which is there ain't no time limit, like there ain't no limits. But Drake's got little boys; he probably got to get to bed. And what
they're like starting to run around, so I'm waiting for one to just come tearing down the stairs here. So
let's get to our picks. We've got a handful of techniques. We never really get into techniques, but everybody knows everything's out there. I mean, you're taking it all. We're all hooking up our garage to our truck behind the boat and dragging it with us. But let's throw out our top 5.
Wait,
Brian, should I share these with Drake real quick that I shared with you, right?
I wrote down my 5 here, but I just want to see the list too.
Yeah, I got my 5, and I think only 2 of them are on this.
So that's what I mean. I'm
going to preface this by saying these are guys that have fished more than 26 events. There's only like 30-something of them. And not everybody's fished 4 tournaments. There's been 2 at Redwing and 2 at Prairie du Chien. So there's 4 is the max that we're taking a data set from. So I just want to show how many guys have, how many they fished. And then let me know when you can see it, Brian, and I'll try to make it bigger. Do I need to make it a little bigger? Let's see.
That's all right. Yep, that's good.
So, all right. Number of events on the left, average on the right. As you can see, Dylan's only fished 1, so I kind of don't even want to, count him, but he did well. But Quartz is averaging a 13th place. Sprangle, 15th. Hoyer, 2 events, 16th. Shakurit, 4 events, 21st. Blosser, I don't know if he's fishing that. Max has had 2 finishes, 2 tournaments, 27th. Brett King, always a threat there. Gilman's not fishing it. I don't think Eric is. Dusty will be there. Wayne will be there. Jacob will be there. And Kent. All pretty decent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, considering that's below their all-time average for sure. And then I got Randy Hummel, 39th. Shimoda. Billy Schultz is always tough at Redwing. Justin Schneider will be there. Dean. I just told him this the other day. This is his lowest average finish out of Great Lakes, Green Bay, everything. He didn't believe me. Nick Schertz. Brugger, he's a local. He'll probably jump in on this. Maher, you saw what he did last time at Prairie. Gilman's out. Brian's always done pretty well there. He's had some really good high finishes there. Okada, I don't know if Joe's fishing this one or not.
I don't know. I don't
know if he is or not.
He didn't. He wasn't sure.
Jake,
now look at you. Look at you, Drake.
Where am I? Oh yeah, there I am.
Right behind me.
I'm like, God, we got to keep scrolling here.
Brian's got you by a half a place.
Unbelievable.
I've never fished Redwing, so we just got the 2 Prairie du Chien.
So again, we're gonna revisit this conversation afterwards and see what all shakes down.
And Teddy's got a 55th. Kevin McCoy's 58th. Chase Parsons, not so 71st, not his best. He probably wouldn't want me showing him that, but
we've all been there.
Yeah. So, there you have it. As far as the average.
We'll let John tell us his top 5 last. Drake, I'm going to let you go first.
All right. So, I had. And
you number 1 better be someone that I'm looking at right now.
No. I wish. Timeout.
I'm my number 1. I'm going in this to win it. So if you don't have confidence that you're on your own list, what the hell are you doing?
I don't know about that. I'm just. We'll see. I Shakur it. I filmed with JP last fall. Like, he likes the river, like loves being down there. So I got him. Kent Anderson, who he has done, him and Adam and Dave Anderson. I mean, they grew up down there fishing, rigging, like they know how to catch fish down there. My one local, I brought up Peter Mart. He's a local that'll be jumping in. He's cashed some checks kind of here and there, kind of all over, fishes a lot of the MWCs, but the guy's, I feel like, kind of smart and could actually do some damage in this thing.
Yeah, I wish we had the list because I don't know any of those locals, but
Yeah.
pretty shame some of those locals always end up 2 or 3 of them in that top 10 because they know the honey holes.
Then I had Tom Kimos. He's a river guy. I mean, the rock, he fishes the rock. Like, just the guy, I don't know where he was on that list, but I just got a feeling like he hasn't had a good couple tournaments here. He's going to have a breakout one, and then I'll throw myself in then at number 5. I was going to put Kevin up there, but we'll do Kevin and me at 5. So
Kevin is behind you on
I know,
on
but
John's sheet.
but
So
he's done
Kevin's
better
good
at Redwing and stuff, and so that's why it's interesting to me. I got one of those 5 are my picks or whatever. So
who you got again? Shakurik, Kimos, Drake.
Yep, Kent
Anderson.
Yep. Okay, that's who it
and
was.
Peter Mart he'll be the one local that's jumping in that and there's a few other locals, I mean, that have notable. I mean, Clark Baldwin and Matt Steffen have notable mentions, I would say, just as locals. And both the Kajawa brothers I know jumped in. They guide down there for a living. And sorry, one other note. See, now you got me thinking. You got Flukinger too. I think both of them, the dad and the brother or the son, are jumping in. And I'm like, they're good down there. And I should have put them maybe on the list, but that's notable. We'll see what you guys say.
Yeah, I know the Flukenders, but I don't really know any of those, or we didn't get that list from Jeff because there's still some things being worked out with it. But he did give us the total of about 120. He said the regular 80 are all signed up. Okada's kind of the wild card. He was actually on my list, was Okada or Hunter Nitty.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter knows that thing pretty well.
Yep. Oh, I forgot about Will Pappenfuss too. Him and Hunter fish down there. Dang it.
Yeah, I know, right?
But
I just can't pronounce his name, so I don't say a lot because I don't.
I just call him Wild Will.
Will. So I have not in any particular order, but myself, because it's all about confidence. Hummel, Randy Hummel. I got Dewey.
Oh, he's just gonna keep going on a tear,
huh? He knows rivers. He knows how to read Kurt well.
Okay.
Kinger.
Oh yeah.
And Nitty. Nitty or Okada. I don't know if Okada's in. Nitty's in for sure. Okada, I don't know, but I'm gonna throw Kinger a bone. Sometimes these things get those locals like King and these guys too. I mean, I've been that guy on the river where too much. I personally like that I haven't fished it.
Yep.
Because I do way better showing up to a place I've never been. Because then you do all the things you're supposed to do. Versus going to a place you've been 10 times, you're like, I got them here, got them there, got them there. Now it's like, no, I'm just going to go do what I know you need to do.
See, I should have thought about my list a little better because I got a feeling Balla is going to kick our butts like bad here because I'm like,
he's got the analytical list.
But I keep thinking about now. You think I'll bring up more names, and it's like, well, geez, this will be interesting. So,
it's your top 5 fantasy pick. We'll follow.
Yep.
We can do a follow up after this.
Yeah, it's probably not fair to pick all of my picks out of a local bucket. That's where I'm at because I feel honestly, this is probably one of the tournaments that locals are really going to have an advantage.
Oh, for sure. Always on these river tournaments, they always do.
And now when you've got one over, and these guys they can take a few more risks. Right? They don't care if they finish 30th. Don't care.
Yep.
So it changes things for them, right? They have to if they're throwing in $2,000, they have to take a risk to try to win 95.
Yep.
They have to. So I'm just going to throw out a bunch of names and
so let's change the rules here. We got to do this before every tournament. Because that's what if this is like fantasy fishing, you got to think longevity of points.
Okay.
and where these guys land in points.
Well, that's
see,
a
now
whole
you're
other
changing the
thing.
rules.
Now,
So then,
that's what I'm saying. They would throw a
No,
real
but
then I'd have
trip
to
in it.
pick. Then I'd have to pick full-time guys, which I want to talk about full-time guys
Yep.
at the end if you still got a minute, Brian.
Yep.
So
Yep,
here's
no,
I'm
go
throwing out a bunch
pick your
of names.
5.
Yeah.
Scrap my
Flukiger,
imaginary rules I'm making up. Just pick your top 5.
Jared Flukiger is a great pick. The guy is an experienced, a tremendously experienced, gifted river angler. He knows the pressures of it all. He's going to know what fish he needs to keep, not keep. And he's been posting pictures of big fish for like the last 4 years now.
He's just teasing us the whole time.
He's messing with us. Go scroll back. Those are from 2 years ago. I already did that. I'm like, he's totally messing with everybody, but then again, he's not. They're just, that place has got a lot of big fish.
Maury Schmerbach, another local down that way. He took 3rd to Courts at Prairie du Chien.
Yeah.
I haven't picked them all yet, Brian. I'm just throwing out a bunch of names, and I'll tell you my 5.
Okay.
Robert Lampman. He won an FLW down on Pool 14.
That name I don't know.
Willow Cat.
Oh.
Yeah, and he fishes these AIM events. He's either won them or he's won a bunch. He's a local. He's just a veteran guy. He's another one. Brugger is from Wabasha.
Yeah.
He'll probably do well. Brett King's going to do well because he's a local. Paul DeVos, who's he's won a bunch down in that river. And then here's my sleeper, is a buddy of mine. A friend of mine is he's a commercial fisherman down in Wabasha. He and his buddy fish team tournaments together. Well, his buddy's probably getting into it. Wayne Prokash. You'll never see his name anywhere, but he cashed a check the last couple of times they've been there.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go Flukiger. I'm going Prokash. I'm going King. Lampman. Oof. Now I either go DeVos or Schmerbach. See, Maury Schmerbach is a rigging legend. The guy just knows.
Yep.
He knows how to rig. He just knows how to rig. But I'm going to go with Paul DeVos only because I remember him catching a lot of big giants in previous river tournaments. So I'm going to give the nod to Paul DeVos.
All righty.
Hey, we see how we
Kinger's on a couple lists.
Yeah, we see how we rank.
54th and 55th.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not even picking Dean or Courts.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you that.
I was like, Troy never even been there before. He don't know what the hell he's getting into.
I might call Cody Northrup and be like, you gotta watch. You gotta watch, Cody. You gotta watch.
I'd get in trouble if I picked anyone, you know what I mean? Like, because then one would be, So I'm going all locals only because I think they're going to be the ones that are going to take the risks. Now, guys like Tom Wynn, I think he's going to do well, 4-face sonar.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just going to come down to the bites, the right over, the right time. And I hope you guys catch them. Honestly, I hope you catch the right one at 8 a.m. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's always a good feeling. You said you wanted to talk about the full timers.
Yeah, so I've talked to some other guys, and I just think we talk about all these snipers coming in. It sure would be nice for this fantasy thing, like if as a secondary benefit to it, if there was just 100 guys, maybe you raise the entry fees, and all 100, and you have to commit to the whole year. So you're fishing against the same 100 guys for the whole year. You can do a fantasy thing. You can have a website where you get to know every single angler. You can do a Meet the Pros Day on Wednesday before the tournaments. And you can and then you can have maybe the bottom 10. You get, after a couple of years, the bottom 10 are replaced by guys either in the MWC or Michigan Walleye Tour or Minnesota team, whatever it is. Yeah. You can have 10 more guys filter 20 into that. I just think it'd be nice to be a true tour level, tour only, eliminate any of the snipers. You don't have to worry about anybody if it keeps the integrity of the sport. I think you have dress codes, you have people have social media accounts. It helps promote the whole thing. That's just my opinion. I'd love to see it. There's no reason why we can't have it. And you might not be getting 120 guys, but oh well. Now you got to qualify to get in like the PWT used to be. And every single angler's committed for the whole year. So Sakakawea isn't going to get 80 boats all of a sudden. You're all in. You're paying for the year and you're all in. True championship. That's just my opinion.
Yep. No, we've tossed that around the upper powers to be and opinions and a lot of that and a lot of third day top 10 type stuff. I I think they want to see like 200 boats. But it's without a funnel system like Bass has, it's hard to, where do you get, these people in 200, let's just face it, we haven't even had more than 155, 157 maybe is the biggest ever out of Erie. So, we're not going to hit that.
Don't know if there's enough of us that could take 5 or 6 weeks off to fish it.
That's what it comes down to.
No.
It's not, we don't get the sponsorship dollars that bass guys get. We just don't have the leverage. There's 20 million bass fishermen in the country. There's like 800 to a million walleye guys. Yep. So there's just not as big enough of a market for a manufacturer to say, I'm going to put a bunch of money in.
Yep.
They try to,
but like I said, if you had it to the 100 and you're committed to all 4, you don't get the 80 and you don't get, the guys are like, I'm too far out. I got to have a hell of a day at Skakwe to even make the top 40. And I never have a hell of a day at Skakwe. So I'm not going to drive 20 hours and spend $4 or $5 grand to hopefully make it to a $2,000 entry tournament where I'm going to win $3,000 or $4,000 of it back. So,
yep. And I think you should increase the payouts to like 40 or 50% of the field. And, I mean, come on, let's, it's a heck of a lot easier when you cash checks than if I showed you how many checks guys are cashing, it's ridiculous how many aren't cashing. Mm-hmm. It's Corey Sprangle's got the most. He's fished 48 tournaments. He's got 28 checks. Yeah. The next closest is 22 with Shakuri. It's less than half. Less than half.
Yep.
And now it's 1 in 5. It's even harder. And local snipers taking anywhere from 20 to 50% of those checks. I just don't think it's fair.
They took a chunk of them out of
9 out of Erie. Yep.
9.
28.
9 out of 28.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a 33%, 32% of them.
Yep.
It's a lot. And they're not going to show up at any of these other ones. They don't care.
Yep. How dare you speak the truth?
Nope.
There's my soapbox.
No limits, baby. That's the way it is. These have all been talked about. It's all there. And I know there's discussions, and it all comes down to sponsorship dollars for the organization, not for the individuals, getting those non-endemics in there. But a lot of them with the economy and election year is the big excuse. I don't know. We're not on ownership side, but just a little rumblings, and you hear, and from this industry in general, that's kind of where a lot of things seem to be kind of sitting. So maybe next year will be better, and those payouts can go up. More media coverage. If we had a commentator or someone like John and Chip, how they used to do it, or Johnny Candle's retired from the tournament circuit, knows everybody well. You get some of those guys that have nothing in the game. Can bring a good perspective and a good point to things, even if you're just a offside committee, tournament committee advisor, review, whatever, but definitely some commentary and stuff. So Drake and I think a few others are trying to do the live streaming. It doesn't work worth the crap because it's a pain in the butt.
Yep.
It's you have to do. You're trying to fish a tournament and you're trying to be your own cameraman. It's a challenge, and there becomes the diminishing return aspect of, hey, I gotta fish. I'm here to do this, not to show the world whatever, even though I want to.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I think service is pretty good on the river there, so we'll give it another shot. So,
yep.
Live would be nice. I mean, there's some things that the head-to-head had some pretty good ideas with the live stream and the interviews. We could take some of the things that they did right and take some of the things that FLW did right and PWT did right, and kind of put them all together and use new technology and get it done. Yeah. I mean, and I think if you had 100 guys. They all knew each other, dress codes. You just make it a professional level thing. And it's an actual privilege to get into it.
Yep.
Not just I can sign up and get into it.
Yep.
It would create a little bit more of a, I don't know, you'd be held in higher regard, higher esteem, prestige, everything. Thank you for that. It's exactly right.
So if you're a non-endemic, which is a non-industry company out there listening, and you want to see that, then reach out to Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's or the Walleye Federation and let them know, as you can help make it happen and get it there. And maybe we can get John compensated for all his hard work.
Well, I'm going to be if there's 100, I'm going to try to be one of the 100. So
try to get it right. Now there's a hey, 100%. I don't blame you. No. And when you got to pay the percentage up front and commit to it, that's going to change. You're going to lose a bunch of guys anyway, because some of them are rolling each pay winning and rolling. And if I don't cash, then I'm done.
Yeah.
Or life happens. Like Austin said, I'm out for the year. I got other commitments. The guide business is kind of going downhill for some, and mine's good, but July's not full. So who knows? It just stops like that. It's like you're fully booked, and then it's just you're not. And when you're not. There's every day that goes by you can't go back and be like, oh, I'll just do overtime and make up for that. It's like, nope. There's still, I can only do one trip a day, sometimes two. That's all there is. So
it would be good to limit practice too. So you just now it kind of evens the playing field, and you make it like BASS. You make it, maybe it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, day off Wednesday, pro day, meet the pros and all that. And then Thursday, Friday derbies, and you're home by Saturday or Friday night.
Yep.
My wife would be on board with that too. That's half of it.
Yeah, well, everybody, right? It's a working man sport, right? It's not a professional level. I mean, let's be honest. If we're going to talk no limit, that's what I've always professed. It's a professional hobby.
Yep.
And there's very few on a couple hands that I can count of guys that actually can make a living tournament walleye fishing. All of them have to do something else to bring in some sort of income.
Yeah.
So
or several other things. Right,
yeah, several other things.
Exactly. Several other things.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
right on, guys. Awesome, good stuff. We've been going at it for a while now, but we could go on for even longer. So we will definitely try to do this again. Thanks a ton for all the info, John. Drake, your insight is always awesome. Man, I got 100 more questions, but we got to wrap it up. So any last thoughts from everybody quick before we wrap this thing up? We always leave with the tip, but we've left him with plenty of tips.
By the way, I appreciate it.
I'm still blown away. Like every time I see the stats, I'm blown away. So like we're gonna have to do this maybe before every tournament and go from there. But we are gonna revisit this to see who did best at least, because I guarantee I'll be third place out of this. So.
You think so, huh?
I'm either going to be hero or zero on this.
Yeah. Well, that's who you picked too, so that's how it's going to be. So.
Yeah, that is that you did. You picked hero zero guys except Kinger. Yeah. So that's the game you're playing. Understood. So maybe you need to create a spreadsheet with this. Listen to these and write them all down, and we'll keep track of points. So we might have started something here.
And I don't even know if they're all in the tournament.
Back and be like, hey, John, King's the only one that fished, so he didn't do very. So you got this many points. I don't know who these other guys are. I'm pretty sure Fluker and we know King is in there. Yeah. I bet DeVos is. The other ones I don't know, but pretty good chance they're probably.
Yeah.
So
if none of these guys are in it, then I'll just go with the numbers. I'll go with Quartz, Sprangle, Shakurit, King, and who was my other guy?
Right down the list.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And
that was my guy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he wasn't even on his list.
Quartz, Sprangle, Shakurit, Brett King, and Dusty Minky.
Oh yeah, Dusty's the sleeper. Yeah. You always got to think of Shimoda though too. Like Shimoda is always good down in Redwing.
Fishes there a lot.
He's just
you guys there a little bit. So. Yeah. All right, we will see where these cards land and see who's holding up that trophy and see who's holding up the. We gonna put any money on this?
Sure.
Can we do that?
I don't know. $1.
Can we do that?
$1. Okay, we'll start at $1 to whoever wins. So. And we'll have to collect at the next classic or whatever we see each other again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Keep that dollar roll. It might turn into $5 by the end of the season. Yeah. So
I'll be in Okano pre-fishing.
Oh,
so
okay. Okay. So I can collect an Okano. Okay, good. Sounds great. Sounds great. I get that cup of coffee. Awesome. Yeah. So all right, guys, thank you so much for being on, and thank you all for tuning in to Real Talk Fishing. And you are either listening to this on Spotify, Amazon, Google, Apple podcast platforms, or over on the Walleye Guys Facebook page or YouTube channel, where you can catch all the podcasts and follow along on Drake Hurd and John Balla's social and stay up to tune and up to date with what they got going on. And are you posting those on your social? I imagine that's where you post all those stats. I just see them tagged and look. So follow along. Usually a few days after tournament, John's got those up. They're pretty cool, pretty insightful. Go through and scroll back and see all the old ones and collecting all that data, and feel free to keep track of your own. John's got information from way back when that you can't find anywhere else because it has been taken down from the transfer to the new website. So thanks again for doing that, John, and thank you all for listening. Be safe out there, and we will see you on the water.